Good morning and wish you a happy Republic Day. Guys, let's start with the today's newspaper analysis. In the today's video, we will be taking up the entire analysis of the Hindu newspaper as well as we'll also see the Indian Express explained section. Now guys, before starting up, first of all, the explainer PDF that we'll use here will be available on our PDF on our Telegram channel, and the PDF can be downloaded from here. The link for the Telegram channel has been given in the description box. Now, first of all, let's see the overview of the articles to understand that which articles are important for our exam. So, first, the Indian Express explained section. Here we can see that the article about the NGOs and the foreign funding has been mentioned. So recently the NGO approached the Supreme Court, where the Supreme Court had redirected them to go and raise the grievances with the government of India. So we will see this particular article. Fine. Then after that, the Hindu newspaper. Fine. In the Hindu newspaper, the text and the context page. First, if we see the history of the beating retreat ceremony. So this particular year, Republic Day, many of the changes have been done. Okay, some of the beats have been dropped. Okay, and these kind of things are there. However, with respect to the examination, this article is not at all important. Please, no need to go here. Then the below article, a United Nations and the crisis in Yemen. Now guys, again, I have taken this article two times already. If you want to see, on the 19th of January, on 19th of January at 5:53, this particular timestamp, I have taken this entire Yemen crisis from the scratch. We have seen that what are the interest of the different countries. Okay, so this coverage I'll suggest, please go watch. Fine. Compared to this, whatever has been given here, it is not sufficient. Fine. So please go and see this particular thing if you have missed it. Then the equality for what? Now see, this particular article which comes here, fine, in the text and the context, it is from the archives. It means that these are the articles which had published earlier. So some of the good articles, they are published again here. So today this article is there onto the equality. Some of the very good references have been given here. We'll see this particular article. Then after that, we reach to the first page of the Hindu newspaper, and here the first article which we can see is Center to remind states of the IAS cadre rules. We'll see this article. Then the the Supreme Court had sent a notice for the irrational freebies. This article also will be seeing it. Then guys, after that, further moving on in the city section, nothing relevant has been given, just the advertisements and Republic Day wishes, etc. have been mentioned. So nothing at all is there, and directly will reach to the editorial page. Why Republic Day is celebrated? So this is an article by Rajiv Bhargav which contains some of very good insights. We'll see this particular thing. Then the festive of India's vibrant democracy, we'll see this particular article also. For a civic solidarity, so Chakma Hajongs and the problems that they are facing, it has been talked about on that. We'll see this article. Then the coup in Burkina Faso, we'll see this article with respect to the broader picture that is evolving in the Africa. Then further, distorting history through a calendar. Now this particular article is talking about, see what had happened recently. The IIT Kharagpur had published their own study where they say that the Aryans, they they were the Indians only. Okay, so up till now you might have already read that Aryans, they had came from the region, or some, basically there are many theories, there are there 13 theories are there which actually are saying that the Aryans came in India from the passes between the Afghanistan and Iran. Is it clear? Central Asia and all these theories are there, but they were not native. This is the bottom line which have been given by them all. But IIT Kharagpur, they say that no, the Aryans, they originated in India only. So basically the author of this article had criticized that this is a kind of a vested interest that is being propagated. So IITs, they have become the tool or to propagate some few ideologies or thinking lines. So that is the thing. However guys, with respect to the examination, much of substance I don't find here, because whatever the origin has been given, okay, it has not been peer reviewed. After that, moving on towards the low emission growth. So basically guys, this article talks about that we need to focus on to the industrial policy and needs to make sure that how the emission can be curbed. Fine. However, the same line we have taken up many number of times, multiple times, the same thing has been discussed. After that, moving on, fine, in this particular direction, the political news, etc. has been given, not at all important or for your examination. Okay, then further moving on, inaccuracies, procedural violation in the Great Nicobar EIA. So EIA, it means the environmental impact assessment. So the environmental impact assessment into the Great Nicobar, where the basically the developmental projects are going on, it has been said that there are the inaccuracies. Basically the all the facts have not been done, and just because into the name of, because in the name of just the unplanned development, the things are being going on. Then further moving on, After that, the West is united against the Russia. Okay, now basically guys, we have again every day see that here the same article is coming where the basically Russia and US confrontations are being talked about. Fine. Then further moving on the business page, the corporate trends fine have been mentioned. Then this is about this particular thing. Here we can see slash fuel tax raise MG Narega outlay to spur flying consumption suggest Chrysler. So we have seen this particular thing first of all earlier, that the MG Narega money that was given for the MG Narega, it got exhausted between midway the year. Now the MG Narega had been turned to be a kind of a lifesaver for the rural economy, and the MG Narega is actually driving the aggregate demand in the rural economy. So we need to take certain structural reforms. This has been suggested by the Chrysler. It had suggested that in the upcoming budget, the fuel taxes are needed to be reduced and the MG Narega outlet is needed to be increased. However, just in a few days, okay, just in a week's time, the union budget will come and we'll actually see that what has come there and what will not come. So this is just a recommendation that has been given. Fine. So that is all about the overview of the articles, and now let's discuss all these articles one by one in the detail. Now starting up, so first today we will be taking up the GS quote from the Gandhiji. So Gandhiji, the father of nation, he says, what difference does it make to the dead, the orphans and the homeless whether the mad destruction is wrought under the name of totalitarianism or in the name of or in the holy name of democracy? So Gandhiji believed in the pacifism. Gandhiji believed that the violence is bad and no justification for the violence can be given. Even if it is being made to restore the democracy, it is bad because the people who suffer, the people who will die, for them it will not make any quantifiable or qualitative difference. So the violence is bad. We can use this particular thing into the answers related to the ethics of war in GS paper number 4 as well as in GS2 and essay also we can utilize it. So that is all about it. And now moving to the next article. Now, first of all, NGO and the foreign funding. This particular article has been taken in from the Indian Express newspaper and it will be directly important for our GS paper number 2. Now see, in the GS paper number 2, the developmental sector and the role of NGO has been directly mentioned. So all the issues related to the NGO become very much important in GS paper number 2 here. Now, let's see this particular article. But before guys, I will give you some of the background. See, first of all, when we talk about the non-governmental organizations are the one which are distinct from the government. These are the ones which are distinct from the government and work on the welfare initiatives. Now, into this particular direction, they can work for the propagation of the grassroots democracy. They can work for the empowerment of certain vulnerable sections of society, such as the women, poor people. Clear? So, in the developmental trajectory of an economy, the NGOs plays a very important role. Now, one more thing I want to tell, that NGOs, they have to be distinct from the government of India, but many a times the NGOs can receive the funding from the government of India. That is one thing, but they will not be working under the line of government's ideology. Now, when we talk about the NGOs in India, in India, the NGOs, they can be registered or they can simply be unregistered, unrecognized NGOs. When we talk about the registration of the NGO, they could be registered under the Trust Act. They could be registered under the Trust Act. Then they could be registered under the Societies Registration Act, and then the Companies Act also is there under which they can get registered. So this is the status as how the NGOs will be organized. However, there are certain NGOs which need the money for their development and they receive the money from the foreign countries, from the foreign donors, from the foreign organizations. They will receive the money. So those NGOs, apart from getting registered here, they also need to get registered under the FCRA, that is the Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. Now, into this particular article, we will be precisely talking about this FCRA, Foreign Contribution Regulation Act. Now see, understand this particular thing, that for the first time, the FCRA, it came in 1976. For the first time, it came in 1976. Now, this was the time when it was believed that there are the foreign countries, there are the foreign vested interest who want to destabilize India, and they are actually pumping the money in some of the organizations to destabilize India. So therefore, to control such kind of a thing, the FCRA Act in 1976 was brought for the first time. However, in 2010, In 2010, all the laws, fine, which related with respect to receiving the foreign funding, they got reorganized, and in 2010 we came with the new FCRA, fine, that is the Foreign Contribution Regulation Act of 2010. And today the FCRA of 2010 is something which governs the foreign funding for the NGOs, fine. Even if any other organization which is not an NGO, they have to receive the money, they also need to get a license under the FCRA. If an individual needs to get the money more than 25,000 rupees from overseas, then he also needs to get an approval. Now who is the nodal ministry over the FCRA? Ministry of Home Affairs. Is it clear? So all the NGOs receiving the foreign funding, they need to get registered under the FCRA with the Ministry of Home Affairs. They need to get a license, and only then they can receive the funding. Now when we talk about this FCRA, when we talk about it, once the NGO gets registered under the FCRA and starts receiving the funding, fine, the license that is given, this license is valid for the 5 years. So once you will register under FCRA, you will be given a license for 5 years. After the 5 year, again a new license is to be given. Is it clear? This is the process that is going on. Now what had happened in 2021? In 2021, just at the end of the 2021, 31st December 2021, there were many of the NGOs whose license were getting expired because 5 years were completed. Now 31st December was the final date on which they have to apply for the new licenses. Now guys, into this particular process, what has happened? 6,000 of the NGOs, precisely 5,900 of the NGOs, their license got cancelled. Why their license got cancelled? Because of the two reason. Reason number one, that what happened, see, when your license is getting expired before six months, let's say your license is getting expired on 31st of December, then before that 6 months you can apply for a new license. Now either of the many of the NGOs, they have either not applied for the new license, or what had happened, the MHA, Ministry of Home Affairs, had cancelled it because of the reason that were the adverse inputs that were given. It was said that there were many of the things to which they need to abide, they have not abided it, or many other problems are there. I will discuss about it just in a minute. So MHA has cancelled. In total, 6,000 of the NGOs lost their license. It means that they now cannot receive the foreign funding. Is it clear? Now many of these NGOs, they approached the Supreme Court, and they said to the Supreme Court that please allow us to raise the funding because this is the time of pandemic that is going on. But the Supreme Court had said that we cannot do anything here. You just go to the government, you just go to the Ministry of Home Affairs and ask them a relief. So this is something which has happened now. So into this particular direction, guys, we will be discussing certain issues with respect to the FCRA because a question is expected onto this particular line in this year's examination. So let's discuss some more issues here. So already I have told you the background, fine. Now after this particular background, guys, first of all, what is the problem and what is this entire process that is there? So basically just one thing, Foreign Contribution Regulation Amendment Act 2020 we will be discussing here, and with this we'll try to understand a lot of number of things. So I told you that originally the Foreign Contribution Regulation Act came in 2010. Is it clear? Originally it came in 1976. It got further consolidated in 2010. Now just in 2020, new changes have come into the Foreign Contribution Regulation Amendment Act, into the act. What are these changes? Change number one, it has been provided that there is a prohibition to accept foreign contribution, fine, by the public servants. Is it clear? Public servant cannot receive the foreign contribution. Now earlier it was a civil servant. Now basically first problem is that what is the definition of public servant? So definition of public servant is very much wide. Public servant includes any person who is in service or the pay of government or remunerated by the government for the performance of any public duty. Now person doing a public duty, it is a very wide term. So number one, public servants, they cannot receive any foreign funding, they have been barred. Second is that transfer of the foreign contribution. Now understand this particular thing. Suppose there is one NGO, the NGO's name is ABC. Now this NGO is receiving the foreign funding. So it has been said that this NGO cannot transfer that funding to some another NGO working in India. Now originally when 2010 Act came, originally into the 2010 act which came, it was provided that, let's say one NGO had received the foreign funding, if it wants, it can give the foreign funding to the other NGOs if these NGOs have been registered under the FCRA. To them the funding could be given, but the 2020 act said that no, even if the other NGOs are registered, then also the sub transfer cannot be done. This thing has happened. After that, guys, the next the third change that came here, it was said that the Aadhaar number will be mandatory of all the office bearers. So in an NGO, all the office bearers, their Aadhaar number is to be given. Earlier, only the key functionaries, fine, their Aadhaar number was to be given. Then the FCRA account. It is said into the 2020 Amendment Act that all the NGOs which are receiving the funding, they have to maintain a specific different account, FCRA account, in the State Bank of India, New Delhi branch. So this is the thing. Then the reduction in use of foreign contribution for administrative purpose. Now, what is administrative purpose? Suppose one NGO's office is there. Within the office, the some stationery is coming, okay, and within there are some internal expenditures within that office premise. These are called as the administrative expenses. So it has been said that whatever money you are receiving, only maximum 20% of the foreign funding can be used as administrative expense. If you received 1 crore rupees, only maximum 20 lakh rupees you can use as an administrative expense. Fine, in 2010, when originally came, 50% of the money could has been used as an administrative expense. Then surrender of certificate, it allows that some of the NGOs, okay, if they want, they can surrender their certificate also. Now, first of all, let's understand that what are the issues with all these amendments that had come, because it becomes important when critical evaluation is being talked about. Now, number one, prohibition to accept the funding by the public servant. Is it clear? Now, guys, in the past it has happened that many of the lawyers also, there was the Indra Jaising's controversy. Fine, many of the lawyers, okay, who had basically worked for the government on a particular project, okay, and if they wanted to organize one NGO, okay, they have been barred. Moreover, there is one more thing also. The definition of public servant is very, very wide. Is it clear? The Supreme Courts into the past, even the CEOs of private bank, they have been called as public servant. Public servant's definition is such that whosoever is doing public duty, he can be called as a public servant. So into this particular manner, basically the large number of people, okay, large number of public spirited individuals, they will be disqualified to receive the funding if they have organized one NGO. Second thing that has come here, transfer of foreign contributions. Now understand this particular thing. There are many number of NGOs who are working in the villages, who are actually providing the last mile benefit to the poor people. There are NGOs working in tribal area, rural area. Now these NGOs, they don't have such links that they can raise the foreign funding. So these NGOs have actually dependent on some big NGOs and they were transferring the money to them. Now as the money cannot be transferred, many of the grassroots NGOs, they will be wiped out. This is a problem that has there. Then the next has been said that the Aadhaar number is being asked. So guys, it has been said that many a times the Supreme Court had provided that Aadhaar is not mandatory. Then why the government is imposing the condition of Aadhaar? It is something which is out of the bound that has been provided. Then the FCRA account. Now see, basically maintaining a FCRA account in New Delhi in SBI branch will be difficult for the NGOs who are working in Northeast, working in South. Fine, so for them it will be a problem. It will create it will disturb the level playing field. Then the reduction of the foreign funding to 20% of the administrative expense. Now understand this particular thing. There are certain NGOs which are just involved into the research work. They are just involved in research work, okay, and the public education, etc. Now for them the field work is not there. Their entire expenditure is administrative expenditure. So those NGOs will face the problem. Clear? This is the issue that has been provided. Now guys, now I told you that the 6,000 of the NGOs, their license got cancelled. Why their licenses got cancelled? I told you two reasons. Number one, they did not applied, and second reason is that government said that the adverse inputs were there. Now what were the adverse inputs? Government said that some of the NGOs, what they have done, they have breached the limit of administrative expense. I told you 20% can be used. They have used more than that. Some of the NGOs had transferred the money to other NGOs. Fine, they said this particular thing. Then there is one more very vague term also, it has been said. Ministry of Home Affairs had said that some of the NGOs are not working in the public spirit. Now the definition of public spirit is very much restricted. Moreover, there is one more reason also. Let's say that you are an NGO and you have registered yourself for a particular cause. Now the money that you are raising, you can use that money for that cause only. You cannot use it for some different cause. But what has happened? The pandemic had thrown so much of the challenges. Some of the NGOs, let's say, they were established that we will work for the environmental conservation, but they use the money for providing the medical support in the times of pandemic. So it has been said that okay, you got registered for the environmental conservation, you are using money for the medical aid. So this particular thing is not allowed, and this has been called as an adverse input, and the licenses have been cancelled. So in total 6,000 of the NGOs, their licenses got cancelled. Now a question comes that whether the government is right in doing all these things. So there are certain evidence, there are certain explanations for this particular thing also. See, actually what happened in 2014, there was a report of Intelligence Bureau, IB. Now the IB's report was such that there are some of the NGOs who are deliberately being financed by the foreign countries to disrupt the developmental activities in India, and particularly the basically the power plants, nuclear plants, they are being obstructed. Is it clear? In the past, guys, we have seen that very big ticket projects such as the POXO plant, okay, it was also derailed. Is it clear? The development, the dam projects, they have been derailed. And the IB in 2014 report had provided that India had actually suffered 2 to 3% of GDP's loss. The loss equivalent to 2 to 3% of GDP had happened because the NGOs are deliberately disrupting the developmental activities. This is the reason. Then, guys, the second reason that has been said here, that there are many of the NGOs which actually don't file their IT returns. Many of the NGOs are not properly registered. Is it clear? And basically these NGOs credentials are not properly verified. So this is the reason that the government is adopting such kind of an approach. Now, guys, into this particular thing, the matter, okay, it has evolved into this particular way as we have seen. Now what is the need of our is that a balanced approach is needed. A balanced approach is needed. Rather, the overzealousness of the government will do, nor even the NGOs can stake the entire independence. Both have to come mid road. Into this particular direction, guys, into this particular direction, we can suggest that there needs to be the confidence building between the government as well as NGOs. There needs to be confidence between the government and NGO. Moreover, the planning commission in 2004, the planning commission in the 2004 had also provided this particular thing, that we need to come out with such a kind of a platform where on the real time the information by the NGOs can be shared and the government can check it. This is something which has been provided. Okay, so guys, this is about it. Now there are just certain more things that I would like to tell you here. Okay, so there are certain more recommendations that we can take. Okay, there is the S. Vijay Kumar committee also that was constituted. Fine, the S. Vijay Kumar committee was there. Now the S. Vijay Kumar committee had provided that there needed to be the light regulation. Fine, the S. Vijay Kumar committee provides that there need to be the light regulation over the NGOs. By the help of the IT mechanisms, the NGOs are needed to be regulated. So this is the S. Vijay Kumar committee that has been there. Then there is also the need for the attitudinal change that needs to be there. Is it clear? Government needs to change their attitude, fine, against the NGOs. So attitudinal change. S. Vijay Kumar committee recommending the light touch. Okay, and the planning commission recommended that there needs to be a platform where the NGOs functioning can be checked. Is it clear? Interface needs to be there. These are certain things which we can use here. So that is about it. And now moving to the next article. Equality for what? Now this article I told you has been taken from the Hindu newspaper. Okay, it is from archives section. Now just one thing I wanted to tell you guys here, you please understand it. Now this particular article, good because certain references that have been given you can directly use in your examination. But second thing, this article actually got published in 2017, and therefore the data that has been given here, it is from 2017. Now we are in 2022. 5-year-old data don't makes any sense for our examination. So therefore I had a little bit amended this article, and the data that I am going to use here, they are the latest data from 2022. Is it clear? So 2022 I am taking the data, 2017 data we will not take here. Now, talking about the inequality. So with respect to the inequality, if we see, guys, just recently the World Inequality Report 2022 has been published. Now according to this World Inequality Report 2022, now this was released by the World Inequality Lab. According to the report, it has been said that top 1% of the population in India, they hold more than one-fifth of the total national income in 2021. One-fifth, 20% of the total national income was held by the 1% of the people. However, the bottom half, that last 50, bottom 50%, they are just holding the 13% of the national income. Bottom 50% hold just 13% of the national income. Then there is one more report on the inequality that was there. Okay, and by the way, these reports we have already covered in newspaper earlier also. So the Oxfam report was there. The name of the report was The Inequality Kills. Now this particular report has also talked about the inequality in the world. According to the report, number one, the wealth of the world's 10 richest men has doubled since the pandemic began. After that, the income of 99% of the humanity has worsened off because of the COVID-19. So, one hand, the richest person, their income is getting doubled. Another hand, 99% of the humanity, their income is becoming worst. Thirdly, it has been said that the inequality, it attributes to the death of at least one person every 4 seconds. Every 4 seconds, one person is dying because of the inequality. Who says it's Oxfam's report, Inequality Kills. Is it clear? Now please note down these datas. Okay, if you want, you can download it directly from the PDF that I will share on Telegram. But very important to authenticate your answers. Fine. Now further moving on. Basically, guys, when we talk about the inequality, okay, inequality has increased. Inequality has increased, and it has also been called as economic epidemic. It has been called as economic epidemic across the states, across the countries. The inequality is increasing. Now there is one very good quote which was mentioned into the article that I want to give you here. You can use it in your articles, into your answers also, whenever you are writing about the inequalities. The quote goes like this, that the histories that person make might not be the histories they choose to make. Very good. The histories that person make might not be the histories that they choose to make. I chose to be a doctor. I chose to be a doctor. Basically, I thought to be a doctor. I thought to be a doctor. I thought to be astronaut. But actually, what I became a sweeper. I became a rickshaw puller. And by being a rickshaw puller, I made a particular type of a minor history of mine. But the history that I had made was not originally the history that I had chosen. I had chosen something else. But I am not able to do that thing. Why? It is because in our country, there are so much of the inequalities that are there. And because of the inequalities, the differential of opportunities come. And when the differential of opportunities come, you are not simply able to exercise your choice. You are not simply able to exercise your choice. And when I am not able to exercise my choice, injustice will come. What will happen? Injustice will come. So the inequality has a very deeper philosophical connotation. Please try to understand these particular things. Now, when we talk about the inequality, there is one of a write-up which was written by the German philosopher Friedrich Hegel. Now, Hegel has been a very influential philosopher. Hegel in 1820, in one of a write-up, fine, had said that the poverty is actually a social phenomena. Now, the right name of the write-up was the philosophy of right. So, in the philosophy of right, he said that the poverty is a social phenomena. It is not a natural problem. It is not the people are poor because they did not had the talent, or some people are rich because they were some super talented. No, it is a social phenomena. Society creates the poverty. It says that the society, first of all, is complicit in the creation and recreation of poverty. Society doesn't bother whether the poverty is increasing, whether the poverty is being reinforced. Second, it has been said that destitution is an outcome of a skewed economy which is in favor of certain people. Because of that, destitution happens, people becomes homeless. Is it clear? Then the next thing, it has been provided that the poverty, fine, when we talk about the poverty, The Hegel says that the poverty breeds unfortunate consequences. Poverty breeds unfortunate consequences such as sufferings. Okay, it demoralizes the human beings. It demoralizes the human being. Moreover, it has been said that if the poverty is existing, it is the inequality is existing. It shows that basically there is a kind of a derailed moral order. There is a kind of a broken moral order that is existing into the society. Now, inequality, fine, where certain people are having more, certain people are having less. It is not just a matter of statistics. Okay, it is just not about the matter of number. According to the Frederick Hegel, it has been said that the inequality is a shattering reflection of the kind of society we live in. It shows that what a morally poor society we are living in. Basically, the economic reordering of society is responsible for all the ill beings. Fine. Then further, when we talk about the inequality violates the basic democratic norm, the equal standing of citizens. Fine. The inequality violates the basic democratic norm, that is the equal standing of the citizens. There is, what is this principle of equal standing? So the principle of equal standing, it provides two things. Principle of equal standing provides two things. Number one, equality is a relation that obtains between persons in respect of some fundamental characteristics they share in common. According to the principle of equality standing, here it has been said that you are a human, I am a human, and because you and we both are human, there is some common characteristics in us, and because of this common characteristics we need to be given an equal treatment. So this is the first principle of equal standing. But what happens when inequality comes? Let's say you have more money, I have less money. This commonness between us, it will be forgotten. This commonness between us will be forgotten, and you will be treated something entirely different, I will be treated something entirely different. It violates the principle of equal standing. Second thing, it has been provided equality is default principle. Morally speaking, equality is a default principle. It says that equality has to be there. No factor can take away the equality. Is it clear? Equality has to be there. Discrimination cannot happen on the basis of race, caste, gender, ethnicity, sexual preference. It is a default principle. It has to be given. So if the right to equality is violated, citizens should be exercised or agitated about this particular violation. Now the societies need to give a deeper thinking on the inequality that is existing. The inequality needs to be put into the political thinking. Inequality need to be made as a part of our value system, that whenever we see the inequality, we need to raise our voice. In the political vocabulary, inequality needed to be put with a more of a force. It has been provided that we need to harness the creative imagination. We need to use our reasoning that how the inequality can be reduced, because it is not just about the numbers, it is the moral corruption that is going in the society, and therefore it is disturbing. Now guys, the references that has been given here, to me they are excellent references. Directly you can use it in your essays, and if such kind of references you give, I have already earlier told you that now the philosophical essays are coming, so such references, they can increase drastically the quality of your answers. That is all about it. Now we'll move to the next. Now, center to remind states again of IAS cadre rules. Now, see this particular thing. This article is relevant for our GS paper number 2, issues related to the federalism. Issues related to the federalism. Now, see this particular thing. First of all, let me tell you the background. Let me tell you the background, and then we will be coming on the analysis of this particular article. So, guys, the background goes like this, that recently, okay, by the way, I think for 2 or 3 days regularly we have discussed this particular article when it came. However, I'll explain again. See, recently what had happened, the center government had sent the proposal to the states government, and the central government says that they want to amend the rule 6 of the IAS cadre rules 1954. They want to amend the rule 6 of the IAS cadre rules 1954. Now what this particular rules talks about, what is this entire thing? Okay, so we know this thing, that the all India services are there. Now the center through the UPSC, the union government through the UPSC appoints the officers under the all India service. Under the all India service, we have IAS, we have IPS, and we have Indian Forest Services. So union appointed by UPSC. Now these officers are given to the state cadres, to the state governments. These officers are there. Now the center government can call these officers from the state government on the central deputation. These officers can be called on the central deputation. They will work in the government ministries, government departments at the center. Now, when these officers are to be called on the central deputation, there is a permission that is to be taken from the state government. Even the NOC from the state government is taken. Even the consensus of the officer is to be taken. Clear? In the past, we have seen that many times the state government has refused to send their officers in the central deputation. So now the government wants to change this rule number 6. They want to change this rule number 6 of the IAS cadre rules 1954. They are simply saying this thing that if we want an officer, we will not wait for the state government's NOC. If we want an officer, we can call even without the state government's permission. That is the major change that they want to bring. They also want to change that if there is any dispute with respect to sending of officer between the union and between the state, then the union government will take the final decision. Is it clear or not? This is the second change, that union government will take the decision. Third change that they are talking about is that, see, earlier maximum of the 40% of the officers that were there in the state cadres, let's say total 100 officers are serving in the state of UP, 40 can be called. Now the center says that no, not 40, whatever we want to call, even if we want to call 50%, we can call. So these are the major changes that the DOPT wants to make. Now because of this particular thing, guys, what had happened, now this thing has become a federal issue, and there is a new word that is now emerging. New word that is emerging, please use this word in your answers, that is the combative federalism. Combative federalism. There was the cooperative federalism earlier that you had read multiple number of times in your Lakshmikant, that the center and the states, they cooperate with each other. India has been built as a cooperative federalism, bargaining federalism. These were the words where the center and the state used to come together from time to time and they need to cooperate. After the this cooperative federalism, one more word became very much popular, that is the competitive federalism. Competitive federalism meant that the different states were competing with each other to call the industry in there, to bring the development, to give the good rights to the people. This competitive federalism was good. Is it clear? Now, guys, what had happened? The combative federalism is becoming a kind of a new keyword. Combative federalism means that the center and the state, they are involved in the kind of a confrontation. They are fighting with each other. Center wants to be more powerful, state wants to retain their power. So this combat, this kind of a confrontation is coming. Is it clear or not? Now, certain examples of the combative federalism we can see. For example, this particular case is there. That is one case. Then, guys, the National Dams Act was there. Few days back we have taken in our newspaper analysis. Now this National Dams Act, by this it has been said that the National Dam Safety Authority that is being built, that authority will be taking all the decisions with respect to the dams, and the state's power will go away. This is like the one example. Fine. Then, guys, there was an example that the NCT Act for the Delhi was passed, where it was said that the government of Delhi will mean the lieutenant governor. So the Delhi said that okay, you have stripped all the power. That was also an example where the confrontation was there. So confrontational federalism or combative federalism is a new form of federalism which is emerging, but it is not good. Rather, the cooperation needs to be there. Is it clear? So this is something which has been there. Fine. However, into the article, nothing is there. Just the center had sent the proposal to the states, and here it has been said that the seven states, they have said yes, that yes, you can do this thing. Who are these seven states? The states which are being ruled by the BJP governments. Fine. So they said. Then the five states, they have said that no, you cannot bring it. Now who are these governments? The governments which are in opposition, or governments who are not in the power. Then some other states, they have conveyed their opposition directly to them. Now these numbers are not at all important. You need not to say that okay, which state said that yes, which state said no. It is very clear that who will say yes, who will say no. But this particular trend which is emerging, it is more important. Fine. Use it in your answers. So that is all about it. And now we'll be moving to the next article. Supreme Court seeks Election Commission and government's response on irrational freebies. Irrational freebies. Guys, this particular article can be used in GS paper number 2. GS paper number 2. Clear? Answers related to the election. Answers related to the election. Now understand this particular thing, that whenever a democracy is concerned, there are certain core exercises of a democracy which makes a democracy a democracy. Election is one of them. If the elections are free, fair, transparent, and timely, free, fair, transparent, timely. If these four factors are there in the election, the elections will be good, and and such kind of elections will make a democracy a functional democracy. Is it clear? Now, when we talk about India, the biggest festival of India is their elections, which are being held since 1951. Now, when the elections are there, we find this thing that the political parties, they go for campaigning, and in this campaigning, actually there is two things which are there. Number one is promising the entitlements, and second is promising the freebies. Okay, now entitlement is something which is justified. Freebies are something which is just a kind of a gimmick, it is just a kind of a lure. Now the entitlement is good. You are a citizen, you pay your taxes. See, you being a citizen, you have two type of statuses. You are an economic entity and you are a political entity. Economic entity because you are paying your taxes, and political entity because you are a citizen of a state. So under the social contract, you have two type of your statuses. You deserve certain entitlements that are to be given, and these entitlements are being given irrespective of your caste, irrespective of your economic status. But then comes the freebies. What are the freebies? Freebies, it is just like promising you that okay, if you vote me, I will waive off all your loans. If you vote me, I will give you this, I will give you this, I will give you, let's say for example, a TV, I will give you a motorbike, I will give you some other, these kind of things are there. Now, problem, what is the problem? Problem is this: it is not clear what is a freebie and what is an entitlement. The political parties, while campaigning, they are giving the freebies in the name of entitlement. They are giving the freebies in the name of entitlement. Is it clear? Now, giving the freebies, it is a type of bribery and undue influence. Giving a freebie is a bribery and undue influence, and it cannot be allowed under the conduct rules of elections. Now the Supreme Court, now what has happened, the Supreme Court has sent the notice to the Election Commission and the government that please tell that how we can control these freebies that are being given. See, these freebies, they are problematic because number one, freebies, they are problematic because they are irrational. They are irrational. How they will make the citizen state relation more strong, not clear. How they will bring justice, not clear. And secondly, they are not fulfilled the maximum number of times. It was promised that okay, you will be given this is never it will be given. It don't fulfills the promise, and because of that, what happened, the breach of social trust happens. The breach of social trust happens. So how to control it, it becomes an important thing. Is it clear? So now the Supreme Court had just sent the notice to the government. Now guys, see into the article, just it has been mentioned that notice has been sent. Who had sent the notice? Supreme Court had sent the notice, just that said. But this is not something which is important for our examination. What we need to use for the examination, the relation between the entitlement, freebies, why they are problematic. Let's see that what the government will be coming out with it. So that is all about this particular article. Now we'll move to the next article. Okay, now this article we have taken from the editorial section, the coup in Burkina Faso. Fine. Now we'll see this particular present issue, and then we will also be seeing the issues associated with it. See, this is the map of Africa. This is the map of Africa, and the country which has been mentioned now, Burkina Faso, it is here. Fine. We can see that the Burkina Faso, fine. First of all, the neighbors of Burkina Faso, we have here the Mali. Fine. Then we have the Niger. Okay. After that, fine. After that, we have the Benin, we have Togo, Ghana is there, and the Cote d'Ivoire is there. All these are the neighbors of the Burkina Faso. Is it clear? Okay, fine. Now, what had happened? The Burkina Faso, here the coup has happened. Military had captured the power. Now, over the past few months, or in fact, in last 2 years, we have seen that many of the military coups had happened around the world, particularly in Africa and in our neighborhood. The Myanmar also had faced a coup in 2021 when the democratic government was replaced by the junta there. Now, when we talk about the Burkina Faso in the Africa, it has been first referred as one of the most stable country in the West Africa. But now what has happened since 2015, there are the instability instabilities that are coming into the Burkina Faso. Now in 2015, there was a democratically elected government that was established under the President Kabore, President Roch Mark Christian Kabore. So he was elected as a president in a democratic election. But what had happened since 2015, this entire region has faced a lot of radicalization. If we see in the Mali, in the Niger, and in the nearby region, the jihadist elements, the terrorist groups belonging to the Al Qaeda, groups belonging to the ISIS, they had become very much powerful. And see, the Burkina Faso, if you see, it is a landlocked country. There is no access to the sea. And being a landlocked country, see, always it has been a kind of a case that the countries which are landlocked, their economic potential is very much limited. So Burkina Faso's economic potential was limited from the earlier also, but in as in a neighborhood, the terrorism is coming. This particular terrorism since 2015 was trying to make its way in the Burkina Faso. Now in this particular backdrop, Mr. Kabore, since 2015, he was trying to consolidate its power. But over the past few years, the conditions became even more problematic. After the coming of the pandemic, the economic crisis in the Burkina Faso, it became so much dire that the citizens, the people, they got frustrated, and the kind of a civil war type situation was actually going on. Not civil war was not there, but a condition, very problematic condition was going on in Burkina Faso, fine, from so many of the months. Now into this particular capacity, what happened, there were certain of the elements from their military who captured the power. They disposed the president of the Burkina Faso, and now they had captured the power in Burkina Faso. Now the Burkina Faso is not only the one country which has faced the coup. This is the latest in 2022, but guys, if we see in 2021, there was the coup that has happened into the Guinea. In 2021, there was a coup that already happened in Mali. So in Mali, a coup has happened in 2021. Fine. The Guinea coup has happened in 2021. Is it clear or not? Fine. Then guys, after that, now in the Burkina Faso in 2022, the coup has happened. After that, in Sudan, there was the political violence in 2021 that had happened. Fine. And guys, even into the Chad, the same kind of things had happened. Now the question that is coming is that the military generals, they are capturing the power very easily in all these countries. Now this is first of all the problem for that country, that democratic rule has been just uprooted. Moreover, other elected governments, for them also it is a warning bell. Is it clear? When in other countries the coup is happening, the military generals in even the stable country, they get motivated that they should do it also. Now the military leaders, fine, as they had come here, military leaders as they came in other countries, all where they promised that the elections will be conducted soon, but these elections are never conducted. And the moment these military rulers they come, they just focus on consolidation of their own power. Is it clear? Now when we talk about the story of Burkina Faso, it is also not different. When basically the military was capturing the power, it was welcomed by the protesters into the Burkina Faso. Now the people, they are also very much frustrated because the government is not able to bring the meaningful reforms, and they are frustrated even by the terrorism of the jihadist that is coming here, and they believe that the military people, the men in the uniform, they will be able to bring some reform. But guys, this thing it doesn't has any kind of an empirical evidence. We have seen that the power hungry janta, the power hungry military, always they are finding the way to consolidate its power, and they in itself it becomes a terrorist machinery. Now the Sahel region, fine, Sahel region, now the region which is the Sahel region of the Africa, which has a kind of a arid condition, fine, the economic prospects are not very much high here. Here guys, the instability is even more problematic, and human right violations, abuses, all will be there. So what is needed now? The United Nations Security Council, UNSC, the democratic countries, they need to come together, and they need to forget their shallow divisions, and for such countries some humanitarian aid, humanitarian assistance, and some humanitarian solutions are needed to be given. So this is all about this particular article. That is all about it. And now, okay, and one more thing, please guys, don't go and see every country is okay on this day coup happened, the ruler came on that day. Okay, that particular microscopic analysis is not important, because there are so many of the countries which are going the exactly same kind of situations. Fine, in the UPSC thematic questions are there, so understand the theme which is there. So that is about it. Now we'll move to the next article. for a civic solidarity. Now this article again, it has been taken from the Hindu newspaper. It is talking about the yeah, basically humanitarian concerns concerning the Chakmas and Hajongs in the northeast India. Clear? First of all, let's see the background of this particular article. The backgrounds. Now this particular article will be important with respect to the GS paper number 2 as well as GS paper number 3. GS paper number 2, the developmental issues. GS paper number 2, for internal security, it has one implication. Now see this particular thing. First of all, guys, the Chakmas and Hajongs, their condition in the northeast is being talked about. So first of all, when we talk about the Chakmas, they are predominantly Buddhist people, and when we talk about the Hajongs, they are predominantly the Hindus. They are found in the Bangladesh and Myanmar. Now in India, large number of Chakmas and Hajongs, they had came after 1966. Why they came in 1966 in India? First of all, when we talk about the Chakmas, fine, there was a Kaptai Dam that was built in Bangladesh. Kaptai Dam was built in Bangladesh on the Karnfuli River. Karnfuli River. Now, after the construction of this Kaptai Dam, many of the villages which were around the vicinity of the Karnfuli River, they got submerged, and these people, they became the developmental refugees. These people became the developmental migrants, and they came in India. Fine, as a developmental refugee, they came in India. Now, after that, the Hajongs, fine, in the Bangladesh, they had faced religious persecution, as first of all, they were Hindus, they were not Muslims, and secondly, they did not speak Bengali, so they had faced the much of a persecution there. So the Hajongs also had came in India, and since 1966, many of them, they came and they settled in Arunachal Pradesh. They sought asylum in India, and they settled in relief camps into the Arunachal Pradesh, and since then they have been well integrated into the villages. Even in 2015, the Supreme Court had directed the state that they should be given the citizenship. They should be given the citizenship. Moreover, in 1996, there is one more judgment of the Supreme Court also, which said that the life and personal liberty of the Chakmas residing in the state, they has to be protected. So Supreme Court had given them the approval that they can be given a citizenship and they should be protected. But guys, see what is the problem right now. Problem right now is the nationalism. Nationalism is the biggest narrative that is being used by the political personalities around the world to consolidate their power to get some vote banks. Now what has happened? First of all, the Arunachal Pradesh's chief minister, had said this particular thing, that the Chakmas and Hajongs which are living there, these people will be resettled out of the state. They will be sent out of the state, and the census of these people will be done. Now in this particular capacity, guys, what had happened? Now the National Human Rights Commission, now something good has happened. The National Human Rights Commission take a noting of this particular matter, and now NHRC had sent a notice to the Ministry of Home Affairs and a notice to the Arunachal Pradesh that you please submit a action taken report against the racial profiling and relocation of the Chakmas and Hajong community. Now what is this racial profiling? Racial profiling means that when you carry a kind of a racial survey of certain people on the basis of their ethnic characteristics, when you make a survey and you segregate these people in a society. Now when Arunachal Pradesh was saying that a census will be done for the Chakmas and Hajong people, now this was a kind of a racial profiling of these people that was there, and this racial profiling cannot be allowed in a democratic state nation where the equality has been provided. So the NHRC, National Human Rights Commission, had sent a notice to the Arunachal Pradesh that what you have done to avoid this racial profiling and to avoid their relocation. So this is something which has happened, and this is something good that had happened. Now guys, I have used the word the nationalism narrative. Now as the Chakmas and Hajongs, they had come from the Bangladesh, these people are being targeted as outsiders. These people are being targeted as outsiders, and the native people, the local people, they are being instigated that okay, you please vote for us, we will remove these people who have outsiders, they have come, they are basically disturbing your culture, they are disturbing your economic prospects. So this is a kind of a narrative, and but what happens? The poor people, the vulnerable people, they are compromising on their rights. So the NHRC has now directed the Ministry of Home Affairs that what you are doing. Now guys, understand this particular thing, that in the Indian Constitution, special rights have been given to the protection of the tribal people, to protect their habitat, to protect their livelihood, to protect their culture, and these special rights that have been given, they are misinterpreted as favoring the tribal nativism. kind of, they have been misinterpreted as favoring tribal nativism. Is it clear? And because of this particular thing, the outsider communities which had now actually settled in India, the Chakmas and Hejongs, they are targeted. So what is the way forward now? What is the way forward now? So way forward is that there needs to be a collective dialogue between the state government, civil societies, the representatives of the Chakmas and Hejongs, and only by a dialogue we need to come out with a solution. Is it clear or not? Fine. Guys, the problem of India, just one thing I want to share. There is a Samvad and Vivad. There is a Samvad and Vivad. The problem is that we always go for Vivad and not for Samvad. What is the need? Need is a Samvad. Fine. That is what is needed. Now moving to the next article. Why Republic Day is celebrated? Certain ideas of republicanism are mentioned here. The article is written by the Rajiv Bhargav. Fine. He comes with some of very good insights, okay, on articles. Now, what is this idea of republic? Why Republic Day is celebrated? Now we know this thing that today is Republic Day. Fine. Every year 26 January is celebrated as Republic Day. Now republic, it is a political identity of India. To be a republic is a political identity of India that we celebrate every year. Fine. Now what do we mean by this republic? Okay, by the way, I hope guys that you might be knowing this particular thing, that when we talk about the Constitution of India, the Constitution of India was for the first time adopted on 26th of November 1949, but on 26th January 1950 we actually implemented the Constitution. Now why 26th January specifically? Because guys, this was the day on which the Purna Swaraj for India was celebrated way back in 1930. So 26th January is a very special day. And if you don't know, before the 1947, the 26th January was celebrated as an Independence Day. So a special significance for 26th January has been there. India was not able to get the independence on 26th January 1947. We wanted that we should be given independence in 26th January 1947. It was not given. However, if we would have waited for the next year, 26 January 1948, it would have been late. So we got independence on 15 August, but to give a special significance 26 January, we celebrate it as a Republic Day. Now, what is the primary idea behind Republic? So, basically, the intent behind Republic is anti-monarchical. Now guys, the monarchy, it has been a Greek word which comes from the word mono. It means the rule of one. So in monarchy, there is one person who is leading the government. He is taking all the decision. All the power is vested in that particular person. There is neither the transparency nor the accountability into the monarchy. So republic is the opposite of monarchy. Now the republic is, the English word republic. It is derived from a Latin word that is res publica. Res publica. Republic means a public thing. It means a public thing. Republic means that the decision making is in the open. Decision making is in the open. Clear? It means that the public sphere is the most important sphere. The people will come. They will put forward their claims. They will say that, okay, what we want as a community. Fine. Their collective interest will be always important. A republic government is government which is free government, which is open for discussion type of government. Is it clear? Now, basically, to have a republic is to have free people. Now when we talk about Gandhiji's idea of Swaraj, Gandhiji's idea of Swaraj is also a republican idea, because in the Swaraj, Gandhiji said that the people need to be given the power, people should decide. So the Gandhiji's idea of Swaraj is also the idea of republicanism. Is it clear? Now guys, a republican trend emphasizes a most importance on citizenship. In a republic, the members of republic are given the citizenship, and by being a citizenship, they can express themselves, they can take the decision, they have a political liberty. Is it clear? So republicanism, people living in republic, citizens have a political identity, they can express and take decisions. Is it clear? So all these things are there. Now guys, just one thing is there, that when we talk about the republic and democratic, what is the connection between the republic and democratic? See, most of the time, okay, whatever we have discussed up till now, the idea of republic, this is similar to the idea of democratic. And the idea, the word republic and democratic, many a times they mean the same also. And this is not the confusion to you UPSC aspirants. This confusion was also in the Constituent Assembly. They also thought that, okay, republic and democratic, they are one and the same thing. And when the constitution was being made, fine, it was said that only we will use one word, republic. Republic automatically will mean the democratic, because they are very similar. But then some brainstorming happened, and constituent Constituent Assembly, it decided that no, both the republicanism and the democracy will be used. Why? Fundamental reason, a very good one. When we talk about the idea of republic says that decision the idea of republic says that decision will not be taken by a single individual. Decision will not be taken by a single individual. Decision will be taken by deliberations in an open forum. It says that the decision will be taken by the citizen. Decision will be taken by the citizens. But decisions are being taken by citizens. Who is a citizen? That is a thing which is not very clear. If we say, see, the ancient Roman republics, they were not the inclusive republic. Now, what is this inclusive republic? It means that citizens were being given power, but everybody was not given the citizenship. Even if we see in the ancient Greece, the slaves, women, foreigners, they were not considered as citizens. So in a republic, citizens are taking right, but only few people can be given the citizenship in the first instance. So therefore, republicanism might not always be inclusive. There the word democratic comes, which is important. Now, what is a democratic? Democratic says that the citizenship is available to everyone regardless of their wealth, education, gender, caste, religion, ethnicity. Everybody can get the citizenship. So what is the importance of democracy? Why the democracy and republic, both word needs to be there? Republic gives the power to the people, democracy gives that everybody can get the citizenship. So inclusive republic will be made when democracy will come. Again, I'll repeat, inclusive republic will be made when democracy will come, because democracy gives citizenship to everybody. That is there. No one is excluded here. So therefore, republic and democracy goes together. Now, republic's idea is such that the vigilant citizens always need to be there, who acting as the watchdogs. They are keeping a check on the representatives, that whether the representatives are making the law for the welfare of the people or not. They need to keep an eye on them. Fine, this is something which has been provided. Now guys, the representatives many a times, they might not go for deliberation, they might not go for discussion, and might come out with some kind of laws which might not be congenial to all the people. Fine, the farm laws have been the case. However, we will not be going into the politicization of the article. So that is all. Very good idea. Directly you can use in GS paper number 2. Directly in the democracy and democratic ideas we can use it. So that is all about it. And now moving to the next article. A festival to salute India's vibrant democracy. A festival to salute India's vibrant democracy. Fine. Now the article is written by the Speaker of the Lok Sabha, Mr. Om Birla. Fine. Again, the Republic's ideas are being talked about. Fine. So some of the common ideas already we have discussed. Okay. So first of all, the Constitution was basically the Constitution of in India. It came in force in 1950. Earlier adopted in 1949. The same idea is there, already we have seen. Fine. Now when we talk about the Constituent Assembly, okay, within the Constituent Assembly there was a 7-member committee under the chairmanship of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, who was given the task to draft the constitution, and the constitution was first adopted in November 26, 1947, and then on 1950, fine, it was actually fully, it was enacted, it came in force. Now the Constituent Assembly, it played a dual role after the independence. The first role of the Constituent Assembly was to frame a constitution, and the second role was to work as a legislature for the independent India. Now, when we talk about the constitution, it has upheld the aspirations and hope of 135 crore people. The constitution has helped in building a resilient country. The ideas of constitution had helped in realizing the dreams of all the people who have not got their emancipation under the British rule. Fine. Now it has been said that the representative institutions, the democratic traditions have always been an integral part of India. It was not like the thing that after the 1947 and after the 1951 only we organized elections. Even in the ancient India, fine, there were the republics, there were the democracies that have been there. And when the transition happened to the formal democracy after the coming of the constitution or after the independence, it was not something different. It was a very smooth transition that happens, because always it was our heritage. Now today we are celebrating the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Now Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, it is 1 year long celebration that is going on to mark the 75th year of our independence. Now onto this Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, we need to make sure that we are developing our institutions, we are bringing the governance in such a way that inclusivity and participation needs to be at the core. Inclusivity and participation needs to be at the core. The development needs to be such that the scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, marginal communities, everybody needs to be given equal role. Now it has been said that the parliament, it is playing a pivotal role in the all-round development of nation. Fine, parliament is upholding the free and fair discussions and dialogue. Fine. So this is the something which has been said into this article. It has been said that today even the parliamentary reforms are being carried. In this parliamentary reforms, research support is being provided to the members of the parliament so that they can so that they can come out with meaningful discussions. The laws can be brainstormed. The parliamentary research team is being proposed for this particular purpose. Is it clear? So this is something which has been said. So now we need to firmly rededicate ourselves to the fundamental duties. Fine. And we need to understand our duty as a citizen and need to go into this particular direction so that we can truly achieve the dreams of Indian Republic. By the way, on the duties and rights, an excellent coverage we have done into the yesterday's newspaper. Clear? If you have not done that, please see it, directly relevant point for our exams. So that is all about, guys, the today's newspaper and articles which are relevant for our examination. I hope that you have understood it and you had grasped it. That is all for today, and now we'll be meeting tomorrow. Till then, please take care of yourselves. Thank you so much. If you have liked, please do hit the like button. Thank you.